and Auditor-General is showing what this government is achieving.
Member's
Thank you,
time
Mr.
has
Speaker.
expired.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
I thought from this, Mr. Speaker, you were going to give the member an extension of time, but we are all gratified that you managed to stop her in her tracks. It was a humanitarian gesture on your part, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you for that. That was the member, of course, who didn't know what CO2 was. Didn't know. Comes from a province, of course, that needs a lot of that substance, but didn't quite know what it was when she was written to. Sir, the BPS deals with, as it says, the budget policy statement. It deals with allocations of funds to a variety of government departments, including, as you're aware, Mr. Speaker, because Mr. Parker alluded to it, and Mr. Mallard, the Prime Minister and Cabinet. It is interesting, sir, that the member references Judith Collins, because we have had a couple of very, very serious days in this Parliament, sir. Nothing cuts to the heart of a democracy than questions over the credibility and integrity of a minister, questions over the credibility and integrity of the Prime Minister, and questions over the credibility and integrity of statements that are and advice that's provided from the Cabinet Office. Now, this all goes to, sir, monies allocated, of course, to DPMC, monies allocated to ministerial services, including, of course, the Minister of Justice's own office. And Judith Collins has made a bit of history today. I think she could be labelled, sir, the Minister of Cronies. And we know that cronyism is rife in this government, sir. And it gets extremely dangerous and extremely serious when ministers and others put themselves either deliberately or through a lack of judgment and negligence in positions where not only their own credibility and integrity can be questioned, but that of a government. Questions which cannot be answered because, of course, the Prime Minister, who slipped and slided all over this issue day after day, will not release Cabinet advice. And we find out today, and I know there's a quote from the Minister of Justice's stand-up today, where she effectively said, when she was asked, why didn't you provide this information to us from the media when she was questioned in previous days? Because I answered the questions I was asked. I answered the questions I was asked. Now, that might be sort of tricky stuff, of course, because you've got the Prime Minister who has continual brain fades, continual amnesia, comes down to the House today, of course, funded well by DPMC and the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, has all this advice and then says, I can't remember what I did because I don't have the advice. Then, of course, we have Judith Collins who says, I only answered the questions I was asked. Now, that might be, probably isn't. That's a pretty low standard even for question time in this place. But when journalists and others are asking you direct questions and you only answer the questions you're asked, there is a word for that, sir. I won't use it in this place. I won't use it in this place, but it shows an absolute lack of integrity on behalf of that politician and that minister. Absolute lack of integrity. And all the money that goes and that's allocated to that minister's office and to the press secretary that stood behind her taping every word so she can go back and she can check what she said, and she cannot get her story straight, sir. The Minister of Cronies, and she's not the only one. And when you look around this government, sir, you have John Banks. Oh, yes, well, all these things, sir, are funded through the BPS. John Banks may well end up looking through the striped sunshine, and, sir, the allocation, ironically through the Minister of Justice and Minister of Corrections program, may well put him there. Because the allocation to High Court judges, of course, comes through the Ministry of Justice via this document, sir, and others. And it may well be that John Banks, on his third potential conviction, he's already got two, of course, third potential conviction, may end up looking through the striped sunshine. That's the first rotten foundation, followed by Peter Dunn, who can't tell us whether he leaked a document or not. Again, that document and the ramifications around it were funded through government allocation of funds, sir, as represented in the BPS. And then, of course, we have Judith Collins. Didn't look so happy today, did she? Didn't look so arrogant and full of herself today, did she? Because she has been found out, sir, and found out in the worst possible way because she has slipped and slided and would not answer questions.
Time for the dinner break. I shall resume the chair at 7:30.